Okay, great. So now we're live on Facebook. Yes, that's when I will go ahead and start it. Hi, my name is Jeff, and once again, we are here for an episode of How It Works. And I'm with my co-host Selena in the Philippines, and now we have a guest, Simone, who's in Australia. And so we're on three continents, and I'm pretty excited about this. We're going to be talking about basically, life experiences and coping skills and what's done to help cope with life and basically heal from the experiences that we have. Welcome, Simone. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Uh, and welcome again, Selena. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be here with you and Simone, of course. Was looking forward to it.
All right. So, what do you say we get started? Um, I'm going to kick it over to you, Selena, and to see if you have any opening questions for Simone.
Hello, Simone. There's just a short introduction to myself. Like Jeff said, I am originally from Philippines, but I live in Belgium now. So I am a certified hypnotherapist, specializing in RTT by Marisa Peer. And
Cool.
Jeff told me amazing things about you that you are doing holistic approach, and it's really very interesting. And yeah, I'm not gonna hold you long. I am so excited to know more about what you are doing, what what brought you here, or what inspired you to do what you are doing.
Yeah. Cool. Uh, hmm, Bit of a like a quite a lot in that question. So like I'm really excited to be on here too. Thank you for having me. Um, so my qualification is a holistic counselor. But I think I got that about 2 to 3 years ago. When I did the course for that. The reason that I went into that is before that, throughout all of my own sort of life experience and the people that I've met along the way, I became very, very interested in approaching life in this really holistic manner. So, looking at how the physical, the spiritual, and the mental parts of ourselves all work together as one, and there's all this kind of communication going on from each part of ourselves to the other. And if we can really start to look at that, we can heal a lot of things, I guess in some ways a lot quicker, but a lot more in a lasting way than a lot of the other approaches that I've seen along the way, from the various things that I've been through and the people around me have been through. So that's kind of my approach, of what's brought me to where I am, and my kind of interest. I was always very heavily interested in the psyche and the psychological parts of how people work, and then to sort of dive then into the more physical and spiritual parts of that as well has been really, really interesting for me over the last few years. I don't
Okay.
know if that answered the whole question there or not.
Yeah, that covers a lot. So, what kind of life experiences have you had? I find that we attract people of matching dysfunction and matching interests. So, what life experiences you had, and what kind of clients do you attract?
Yeah, that I definitely find that happens as well, and even in the attracting with the clients as well, they'll often have, or actually always have, something in common with something that I've been through as well, or an interest that I have, or something that really attracting thing there. So I actually, the clients that I work with the most, they're at two very, very different ends of the spectrum. So I get people that have disability and want support with navigating life around disability and a lot of the traumas that they've been through. And I quite a lot associate traumas with disability. In most cases, I find that especially intellectual ones and some physical ones too have manifested for people due to trauma, which is quite an interesting part of life there. And then on the other end of the scale, I get people who are really like already on the path to self-discovery and self-development, and they really just want someone to converse with and chat with and dive into things with in a way that they don't normally get with the day-to-day conversation with your average person. So there's two very, very different ends of the scale there of people that I work with.
Interesting. Okay. So now your holistic approaches, do you have any set program that you work with, or is there some type of format that you follow when you're working with people?
No.
No.
I'm very much a the way that I approach things is like on the extreme end of client-centered is probably a good way to put it. I have like a very vast array of toolkit, I guess you could call it, of different things, different approaches that I've tried with myself and other people and things I've learned along the way. And I like to cherry pick bits and pieces from all over. So when someone would come to me, I'm really actively kind of getting in and listening to and connecting with them and encouraging them to kind of guide me as to the direction that they're wanting to go in, and then we maybe suggest a few things along the way. But I work with a lot of different kind of tools. One of my favorite things is to do like sound therapy with the sound bowls, and also touch therapy, because I think that's very, very important. There's been quite a bit of I guess what's the word, like a bit of taboo, I guess, in for many years around separating touch and massage and all that kind of thing with the psychological side of things. Like it's in a lot of ways been quite a no-no for a psychologist or counsellor to be doing body-based touch therapies, and then vice versa for people who have been doing a lot of massage and stuff to go into the talk side of it. And I found that for me personally, when I was going through my own healing journey, when I was able to see someone who could actually do the hands-on, the body approach at the same time as listening to me speak through what I needed to speak through, it really helped to shift quite a lot of stuff, because we have a lot stored in our bodies trauma-wise around the sense of touch for most people, I find.
Right.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. What I understood, Simone, is really, I feel you. You know, it's you said you don't have the specific rules or steps or whatever, but you do the actual scanning of the person, you know, your clients, like you feel it and just start from there and know where and what tools you are going to use. And that is really very interesting. That is the most genuine approach, because we can have, well, we, Jeff and I, we have steps, we have tools also, but I understood what you are saying, that you just do the actual scanning of the person, of the client, of the people, and you can feel it, because therapy or counseling is always energy exchange. So
Yes.
you feel it, and you have the gift to really, you know it. You know it. Oh, because some tools are not for everybody.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I love it. I love what you are doing. I get it, because me, I do that too. Because I'm also very honest from the very beginning. I feel the energy if you are ready or you are just curious of what I am doing. And then I know, do we have a second session or not? Not gonna
Yeah.
waste your time. I'm not gonna waste my time if we are going nowhere, because we know Jeff knows that as well. Jeff is also gifted with that kind of, perception and the ability to connect. So this is amazing. That's why we are brought here together, because this is our common goal. As I think, so that's it. And I'm really interested about your approach.
Yeah, the thing that we have in common here is that we're all intuitive and then we're all empaths. And so you're taking a
Yes,
very
agree.
intuitive approach to how you're helping everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I find that, like, personally myself, like, for my personality and what I noticed in myself sort of growing up and going through school and everything is that I've always been a very highly creative person, but also very intellectual as well. And doing this kind of work for me is like just bringing those two sides of myself together in this way, where it's so rewarding because I actually get to use it to help people as well, and not just, like, I love creating artworks and all that kind of thing, but it's like that real, I love the one-on-one, or even like a small group of people where you really, really get to connect with people and see in them the changes that are happening through what you're offering and what you're doing to connect with them.
Of course. So would you say, what I gather from your methods is that you do a lot of grounding exercises, the sound therapy and the physical touch therapy. Both of these are very grounding, and they kind of like pull people out of ego and create a more present experience for them. Do
Yeah,
do a lot of your clients cry and release trauma when these things are happening?
definitely. Yeah, especially one of the types of therapy that I really love is based on the principles of a therapy called neuroaffective touch, where we use a lot of sort of blankets and pillows and heat packs and kinds of things, and we kind of wrap the person up into a little cocoon where, like, every little bit of your body that might have like a little curve or an indent or anything is actually filled up and is touching something. So you're almost like being in the womb when you're a baby. And it can get the body to sort of yield into this safe space, and then you get people saying things that they normally wouldn't feel safe to say, or bringing up things that they didn't even know about themselves. And yeah, that often can bring people into that crying, releasing type of state, and it's quite fascinating. Like, I recently did one of these to help out a friend of mine, and she just kind of blurted out this thing, like, why do I do this thing that I'd never ever seen her even address in herself before? And that just came out because she felt safe and held and connected in that situation and not judged. She's
Yeah,
like, that's
that is
really, I
very,
love
very
things.
important. We have to create the safe space for them to be themselves, to feel that they are being heard. And yeah, that is really amazing.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I am safe for many people, but I'm not safe for everybody. There are,
Yeah, that's true.
there are some people, trauma triggers trauma, and then there's some people whose traumas just don't blend with me at all.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like I'm generally a person that doesn't seem to trigger too many people in myself, but I also, there are, a few people, not many, like handful of people that I can myself be like that with too. It's just their particular trauma just triggers mine so badly that it can get me into a state where I'm just literally like, get away from me. I can't be near you. Just, F off. I've got to go and regulate myself. So I could totally understand that as well. And it might not happen for me quite as often as it might happen for someone like yourself or someone who's been through more severe traumas, or the way that you've just responded to life has been in that more sort of I guess outwardly aggressive type of way. But I do have that in me as well.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I could be very outwardly aggressive when I feel threatened, and very vocal about it. It's naturally something I'm working on, but it's just funny because there's many people who are completely safe with me and will never see that side of me. Just it won't happen. So okay, so you're in Australia, and very warm climate there. Do you deal with mostly local people, or are you international?
Mostly local people. Like I am open to international if somebody wanted to connect with me. Like I'm happy to keep that sort of space open, to find a time to connect with someone if they really felt like they resonated with me and what I do. But I usually do. I am a very big fan of like in person connecting and having that real like live face to face in the room with the person. I find that is often a lot more powerful. But yeah, I am happy to connect with people over the internet and stuff as well.
Right. So how well has Facebook done for you? I've noticed you had that one page that got taken down for a while. You had to recreate everything. Do you do well from that?
To be honest, not great. I'm not really great with the Facebook thing. And yeah, it hasn't got a lot of traction, and I found that like my page, my personal Facebook actually got shut down. I got in trouble for, I don't know exactly what specifically, but I'm sure I said a bunch of things that were not agreeable to whatever they wanted us to say or not. And so my personal page got shut down, and then I lost access to my business page, and that is actually still up there. But I can't do anything with it. Nobody can do anything with it. So I've started a new one, but it's like, yeah, it is really tricky to navigate the Facebook universe, because it's just like there's nobody to talk to, and all that sort of thing. So I guess I've pulled right back with my new Facebook page, and I'm a bit more careful of what I say, even though I'd like to say some other things. So yeah, for me personally, Facebook hasn't been the greatest way to connect with people. I find Instagram is a little bit better. But for me, and a lot of the work that I do, and even back when I would do other work that wasn't related to this, I'm very much a word of mouth type of person. Like I just find that for me, the advertising side of things, it just, whenever I try it doesn't work real great. But if I meet with someone and they like what I'm offering and they tell someone else, and then they come to me, that's usually the way that I have attracted clients.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah, in my past, most of my businesses were all word of mouth, and I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to break a new market now, so it's like I'm advertising, but it's not necessarily effective. Celine, your turn.
It's the same with me. Like Simone, it's also I do better with direct contact with people. Like, yeah, I'm not good in advertising. I'm not good in speaking to public. I love talking to one-on-one or just a very small group. That's my thing. And yeah, and I just take it like in my own um pace. Like, it's just take it easy and enjoy the process. It's important thing is we have to love what we do. And it doesn't
Yeah,
matter if, yeah, some people like I want to build a big crowd in a moment, in a short time. But for me, I'm doing it like just love it, just enjoy it and show your true self, even if it's one person at a time. Doesn't matter if
yeah,
it's just one client per week, per month, or it depends. As long as you are enjoying it, you are loving it. And because these days, advertising, social medias, all these platforms, how many are genuine? How many are telling the truth? How many are showing us the reality? It's all
yeah,
mostly fabricated, and I don't like it. I prefer to grow slowly than to have this like bomb and doing a lot and fabricating the advertisement. And it's not my thing. And I believe that's also what you are talking, Simone. You are so genuine. You want to limit the crowd, but all in your circle. You want to help people that are in your circle
yeah, yeah. And that
with the
genuine,
same
authentic
values.
of
Yeah,
people.
authentic. Exactly. Jeff?
Yeah, I have no thoughts at the moment. I'm just kind of taking it all in. So, what would you, let's say we had an audience of 1,000 people right now. What would you want to say to reach out to the people that were most likely to connect with you?
That's a good question. I guess like what I would say is to really like obviously do connect if you're feeling that, but really really sit in that and see like, is this the right thing for me, is this the right person for me? And like I'm really really big on that sort of self reflection type of thing, and to know that really I do tend to, I guess, pull people up on their crap, if that makes sense. So that can make a lot of people kind of uncomfortable, if you're not ready to face some things about yourself that you may be judging in yourself that I promise I won't be judging. But if you're judging them in yourself and you're not ready to face that, I may not be the right person for that. I tend to trigger people in that way, not to trigger them into, um, you know, full on hating me or anything like that, but just like it can get quite uncomfortable with the type of things that can come up. And just to really, like if you're in that space where you're finding that you're looking at the, I guess, shadow aspects of yourselves and your emotional addictions and all that kind of thing, and really ready to dive into that in a space of curiosity and interest, knowing it is uncomfortable, but on the other side of that, things do get much better, then I'm the person for you. But if you're wanting some kind of like spiritual fluff or some just feeling better about yourself, maybe not the person for you. So my approach is really support and nurture, but we're not going to bypass anything. We're going to actually dig in and address the things, and a lot of self-reflection and self-responsibility I'm really really big on. I will always go for truth over something that makes me feel better about myself, and I really encourage that. But I also understand that people have limits and have capacities of how much they're willing and able to address what's going on for them in the moment.
Right.
Hopefully that made sense.
Well, it does. And see, again, this is something the three of us do, three completely different approaches. For me, that all comes out in a 4-step inventory. You know, I take people through an inventory process where they ask themselves self-awareness questions and reveal whatever they're comfortable revealing. And I find that denial is a sincere state of mind, that people, when they're in denial, they genuinely don't see the harm in what they're doing, what they're experiencing, because it's blocked out. It's like, no, it's not, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And they tell themselves it's not that bad. And you mentioned that one client who just blurted out, you know, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Well, it's amazing the things we hide from ourselves. You know, we're literally hiding a truth from ourselves. And then something comes along or someone comes along and helps create this safe space for us. And finally we can relax and go, yeah, I can't believe I've been doing this. And you know, just recognize some great lie that we've been telling ourselves. So how much would you say you experienced that? Probably quite a bit with your approaches.
Yeah. And to be honest, like quite a bit with myself along the way as well. Like there's been things that I guess like hung on to for years and years and thought they were pretty reasonable, and then one day you know, something's triggered it and I've gone like, oh crap, this is, you know, an expectation that I really need to let go of here, because my reaction to this thing is really causing a problem that I didn't see before. In like I've had many moments like that. So really appreciate when people come to me and give me that sort of trust to help them go through something like that, because I really understand how difficult and painful a lot of that can be. Yeah.
Well, and you do have a very safe demeanor. I think we met in one of those spiritual groups that I got kicked out of, which happens a lot with me. The things that I say in spiritual groups just really trigger people, so I've learned to just keep it to myself for the most part. But you just have this natural demeanor where you create safe space for people, and so, you know, I commend you on that. Not everybody has that. So what else did I want to mention? Oh, the sound bowls. There's some specific training with that, or you know, when did you start getting into that?
Sorry, there is specific training out there available. I did not do that. I'm very much a person that if I see someone doing something and I can see their technique and that sort of thing, I pick it up really, really quickly. So for me, that was like a bit of a waste of time and money to actually do a course in sound healing as well as my holistic counseling one for that reason. So I'm kind of self-taught on that sort of thing, and I use a lot of voice work as well, so I have quite a history and background of singing and performance. Oh, nice. And a lot of that kind of thing too. So I have a lot of history of using my voice and musically and in a healing way as well. So that's something that really came quite naturally to me to bring in as a part of the healing approach.
No, I definitely identify with that. I'm self-taught on many things, and you know, for me, I prefer self-taught because it seems like going off of somebody else's playbook is pretty limiting. So.
I agree.
That's true.
Yeah, and there's a lot we can learn from other people, but I find personally the things that I have learnt by following my interest have been things that have been a lot more fruitful. That is a way to put it. So like it's worked out a lot better for me whenever I've really followed an interest rather than going for a qualification or a set of rules or a set of things to follow as a particular approach to something. I guess I probably would consider myself a little bit of a rebel in that sort of way of I'm really, really big on finding your own approach and using your own mind to assess things and then bring that in and see how that fits within yourself and what you want to deliver to people. And like I understand that can be really, really a scary thing when we live in a world where most people are quite convinced that we need to go to the person who's got the qualification or the person who has studied these certain things or worked with these certain people or do it in this specific way, to then say, okay, well this person or these people over here are doing something in a very different approach to that kind of thing.
Right. Well, everybody, somebody had to be the first to do it. And there can be multiple people being the first to do the same thing. If they don't know each other, if they have nothing in common, then we can all be doing this thing, the same thing for the first time. And I don't think there's anything better than firsthand experience. People are often trying to get me to read things or research things and watch videos of different doctors and psychologists online, and I tell them no. I reject it. I say I'm not interested. I don't want to know psychology. I don't want to know what other people are thinking. I don't want to fill my mind with a bunch of other people's thoughts because I've got my own process. And like you, I mean, it sounds like you've run your whole life on a fairly intuitive basis.
Definitely.
Yeah, this gets very interesting because we are now breaking through. We are used to, we are programmed from the very beginning, like what is the norm, what is the usual, what is, the society has set these rules for us to follow, to neutralize. But it is what I understood, like Jeff said, someone has to do it. Like, come out, focus on your own, do not listen to what other people are saying. Oh, this should be, and that professional can help you. Because for me, I believe it's still the personal connection that matters. It doesn't matter what kind of certification a person has, a therapist or a healer or whatever. If you cannot connect with a person, there is nothing. Whatever higher studies they did, they whatever diplomas they have, when it comes to spiritual healing or mental balancing, it's important that we can connect with the person, whatever you call it, therapist, counselor, whatever. And I'm not against all the professionals. I have a lot of respect for them, for the studies that they've done, because I am focusing on really finding the link between everything. Like you do, it's also not the physical, not the mental, but the whole thing, because everything is connected. So I'm now focusing on the religion alone or the science or whatever. It should be the link to everything that we can settle in the middle. Like we don't have to attach ourselves to something, but just be open to anything. What works for us, what works for the clients. And that is really amazing. People don't, they are programmed. Oh, the doctor can help me. Oh, that can help me. And they take this medication and that. But in the end, what happened? You are still out of connection with yourself. You're not grounded, you are disconnected. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's that real sense of like my belief is that a lot of the things are happening in the spiritual side of in our spirit body and then in our mind, and then that comes through and manifests into a physical thing a lot of the time. So when we take the approach of just hitting the physical part of it with some medication or something, which in some ways can be helpful, it can be helpful for symptoms and that type of thing. But if we're not actually then addressing that cause in the mental body and in the spiritual body,
mhm,
all we're doing is kind of, putting that just like covering up the surface so we don't see the
yeah,
wound, but it's
that's the
still
thing.
there, it's still underneath, it's still bleeding, it's still causing issues in the person's life.
Exactly,
And
because we are looking for instant healing, instant, relief.
mm,
But deeper, the deep inside, there is still the cause, the main issue, the trauma, for example, the imprints from the past, it's still there. No medication can take that away. But
yeah,
there are processes, like there are approaches, like you do, like there are many. So that's what I am trying to say. Just be open. What works for you. I also tell to my client, maybe this tool will not work for you, then we will
yeah,
find something else where you feel comfortable, where you believe that it is for you, that if you
yeah,
feel good about it. But if it doesn't feel, if you say, okay, this is good for you, and you feel that it's not, no, it's not. So there must be something else.
yeah. I think one of the worst things we can do um, as a healing professional is to like push continuing with something that's not actually working, that's not actually resonating for the person, or it's not matching up with their belief. Like if we try to approach a deep belief or a deep wound that someone has with, say, like just the direct opposite belief of that, or something that is opposing that, we're just going to
Yeah.
come up with resistance, not actually any healing. So some approaches that are very belief based, or like a lot of people have a lot of spiritual wounds, and that something
Mm,
that's going to work for one person is absolutely not going to work for this other person whose current belief system isn't able to open them to that, or it's just not for them.
Right,
exactly.
right. Well, and that's, I've mentioned on the show before, Celine helped me with her rapid transformation therapy. The only reason it worked is because I was ready. I was ready and
Of
I was
course.
willing to follow it through and apply the whole thing. And not everybody's like that. It's not that it isn't effective. It's not everybody's ready. Um,
Mm.
and from my personal perspective, all mental health issues, all addictions are trauma related. That
Yeah,
there's some type of
Yes.
trauma in
Yes.
the past, and with the 12-step model that I work with, having a higher power is a very big deal. But
mm.
also the way we approach things is I find out what is your higher power, and then I stick to that terminology. And it doesn't matter to me is whether somebody's atheist, agnostic, Buddhist, Christian, Muslim. It's all the same to me, because the thing that all those things have in common is this is the ability to find inner peace. So
Yeah.
with your approaches, does the higher power thing even come up?
It depends on the person, to be honest. I myself am a big believer in having that kind of the faith and that um, some kind of connection with, whether you call it a higher power or creator or God or whatever it is that you're personal preference there is, I personally do think that that is a really good thing to bring in, and I would even say necessary in a lot of cases. But I do find that there are some people that are just so resistant to that I just wouldn't even attempt to bring that in for them, especially to start with, because it's just not going to be helpful. But if they're already there, then I totally agree with what you're saying in working within the spiritual belief system that they already have. And whether or not, like, it's up to them. If that's going to change at some point in time, that's totally up to them. But just being really respectful and mindful of that, and if that's working for them, great. Like, I would tend to, even you touched on the 12-step thing there, and I know that you are really big on using that, and I've been watching, you know, your Facebook posts and your views on that thing, and I really love your approach and the way that you've taken those 12 steps and then you've added kind of your own approach to a lot of that, and the way in which you're doing that I really admire, because I've met people who are so traumatized by having gone into one of these, whether it's AA or NA or whatever, a fellowship program, and they've had people around them who have taken those steps and twisted them into something to actually abuse with, and they've been so traumatized by it,
Yes.
that they can't even look at those steps anymore without having a really big trauma response. So in that case, that sort of person is not going to be the kind of person who you can give a list of steps to, because they're so traumatized by what happened to them in the situation. However, if you just take those steps and you look at those steps on their own without any trauma with it, there's some really great things in there, which is why I really love your approach. And and seeing your things on Facebook and having a few discussions with you and stuff around that, to me, that's like a really refreshing looking approach to that.
Thank you, and thank you for noticing that. And you're right. It's a great topic because I've been in and out of recovery since 1989. And I've come to a place where I'm very comfortable with 12-step meetings and all the different fellowships. Not all, but they're, you know, the majority of them. And the thing is that what they don't want to admit is that because there's so much talk about this higher power stuff, basically they present like a religion, and the people that become addicted to that particular fellowship have this cult-like nature. And it's like, oh, you know, you got to do it this way. You got to follow the book exactly. You get and they memorize the book. And the people that recite the book sound like geniuses because these books were written by geniuses. Yeah. But all they've done is switched addictions. And, you know, frankly, there's a lot of sick people in recovery. I know I'm one of them. So what I try to do with the 12 steps is take the mysticism and the religion and the cult-like effects of it out and present it in plain language to the people that would never even go to a 12-step meeting. Like I said, they're so traumatized by 12-step that they have no interest. They don't want to listen to any of that. They just want something that's intelligent that makes sense, you know. And I'm fortunate and I'm like half left brain and half right brain, so I can transmute these things and translate them into a plain language and say, this is what's actually happening. This is why you want to do the inventory, because you have to face your traumas, face, heal, release your traumas, and these are the steps. And, you know, if you do that, these things will happen. You know, it's, for me, it's super straightforward, but I know for a fact there's not one perfect approach. That, you know, everybody's at a different stage of life, different experiences, and that's why I try to promote different healing styles, because, you know, I know for a fact to even mention 12-step to many people, they just don't. They don't. even my version of it, it's not good enough. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think I do believe that what we do, we all have things in common. I think the very important is that when we are helping people, we need to speak their spiritual and emotional language. We need to know where they are, what they are feeling, and we all have we have the gift to know that, to feel that, and not only what we studied, what from the books that we read, from the mentors. There are many out there. They are good in talking. They are, like the chef said, perfect. Words are perfect. Everything. But then we have to speak the individual languages, spiritual and emotional, especially. I
Yeah.
think we all get that,
Yes, definitely.
right?
Yeah, which is a good point. I'm a big fan of Alan Watts, but his thoughts are so close to mine. I stopped listening to him because I didn't want to be accused of or get his message mixed up in mine. And I have a
Yeah.
lot of teachers. There's a lot of really great spiritual philosophers out there. Do you personally have any favorites?
That's a really good question. I don't know if I would say that I particularly have favorites. There are certain people that I've followed along where there are things about them that I really love, but there's always things about them that I don't like as well, if that
Okay.
makes sense. I'm very much, I don't like to idealize people, even if they're in that kind of guru type position, because
Mm-hmm.
we're all human beings. We've always got a lot of stuff going on. There was quite a stage where I was really drawn to Matt Kahn. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's very, his approach is very, very soft and gentle and sort of feminine and all about loving yourself and being okay with yourself. But there's other things about what he does that I don't like as well. And I find Teal Swan, like she's quite a big one, that she says some really great things, but there's also some things that
Big chip on
can
her
be
shoulder.
really yeah. So like these kind of people, like there's a lot of people like that where I love, and I think I said earlier about cherry picking. For me personally, some people really hate that approach where you take little bits from this person and that person and
Yeah.
this thing and that
Mm-hmm.
thing. But I really, really love it because I think we're all human beings. We all have some really great things to share, but we've also got some things that are just not going to be what everyone wants or needs as well. So I really, like I've just mentioned those sort of two people. There's a lot of other ones that I've kind of followed along and looked at along the way as well, but I've tended to kind of move through like looking at a lot of different things and a lot of different people and a lot of different approaches, and then just I guess so coming up with my own kind of version of how I'd like to approach things, which is always changing and evolving as well.
Sure. I have to mention, you broke up for just a second when you mentioned that first name. Could you repeat that first name?
That was Matt Kahn.
Matt Kahn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I even know that one. So I just wanted the audience to be clear on it. You slipped out, the vocals slipped out for just a second. Cool. Well, anything else on your mind today? Anything that you feel would be important for somebody struggling with disabilities, somebody struggling with past energy traumas that might inspire them to take that extra step and reach out to somebody?
Yeah. I guess one of the biggest things that comes up for me, if I just share like a little bit of a story here, quite a long time ago, I met someone who actually had been in addiction recovery and in a 12-step program and this person came to me and said, hey, do you know that like there's these two different kinds of people, and there's this group of people that are called an addict, and they're different from other people, and then there's the normal people. And I sat with that and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing that set me off on going from my personal healing journey to wanting to help other people, is then starting to notice this belief of like whether it's labeling yourself as an addict or you've got some particular mental health problem that you've been diagnosed with or whatever it is, to understand that you're not a different kind of person to everyone else, in the sense that, like, yeah, we're all individuals, we're all unique, we're all different, we've all got something about us that makes us us, but we're not unhealable or a certain type of person that cannot move past our pain and our trauma and our coping mechanisms. And that one of the biggest things for me there was like, I straight away was like, no, everybody's got addictions.
Yeah.
We've got addictions to just, you know, all these different things. There's, you know, people, there's even like celebrated addictions, you know, I'm going to get my coffee and my cigarette and whatever else, and these little ones that we kind of don't see as a huge problem, we see them as a problem. And then there's the bigger ones like the hard drug addictions and that kind of thing. But if you really, really, really pull it all back, it's all trauma and it's all coping mechanisms, and it's all just things that we do when we don't have the tools to feel our emotions flow through us freely. We're afraid of them, we're ashamed of them, we're ashamed of ourselves. We've got all this stuff going on that we've been taught and been programmed with, and it's been passed down, and it's a lot, but it's not unhealable. And then there's so many different approaches available that just, you know, just keep trying. If something doesn't work for you, if you don't like someone's approach, or it's, you know, it's too triggering for you, or it's not bringing up enough stuff for you, just try someone else, try something else, and just know that whatever it is, we've all got some version of it. We've all been through all of the emotions. We've all got the capacity ultimately to be well and healthy and have all that kind of flowing with ease. It's just a bit of a journey to get there, and it can be quite uncomfortable.
Very well said. Yeah, if I could to expand on that too, because I want to share this language with you and see if it aligns with your thinking. To me, all addictions, like I said, are trauma related. It's a response to trauma. And the more trauma you have, the more likely you are to have addictions, numerous addictions. And addictions are basically attachments that you can't live without. And so even the people who are said to have the least attachments still have addictions. And the example I'd use is Buddhist monks. So these people are living a very simple life. They're out there raking sand and, you know, living this super peaceful lifestyle. They're addicted to that lifestyle. They would not know what to do out in the world because they've become accustomed to, with the repetition and the constant daily mundane in and out of their lifestyle. They're very, very attached to that. We're human. We can't help but get attached to things. So
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly when you said everybody's addicted to something. I say that all the time. It's like I've never met anyone who wasn't addicted to something.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes.
True. Yeah, exactly. We all have something that we are addicted to.
Great. Well, we are coming up on an hour. Celine, did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to share with us today?
Oh, I am so overwhelmed. Actually, my head is full of a lot of good stuff, like what Simone has mentioned and said, and yeah, I think that was it. It was really great, and there was a lot of wonderful things that you've said, Simone, and I'm sure whoever watch this, they can get a lot of values from it, and they can use as a tool for the self development and self transformation. I do believe, and thank you so much. I would say thank you so much. It's really great to have you, and I hope it's not the
Thanks.
last time that we are doing
Yes, me too.
this, because we have to do it again. Have to do it again.
Definitely.
It was a great.
Hey, agreed. Again, Simone, any last things that you'd like to share, or did you already?
Yeah, I think I've shared quite a bit. Like as Selena said, it's a bit of a kind of overwhelm now.
In a good way, of course. Huh? It's
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
good way. Yeah,
Yeah.
Great.
amazing.
I appreciate you working this out with me. And again, for those who've watched all the way through, I'm in Detroit, Michigan, USA. We have Selena, who is in Belgium. We've got Simone, who's in Australia. So we're podcasting from 3 different continents, and yet we all have this common understanding and common bond about healing and our the desire to free us from our past trauma. So I think it was a really good episode, and we had a really good message today. So thank you, ladies. I appreciate your time.
And thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
I know you need to get some sleep. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's 4 in the morning here, so I'm gonna go back to bed and get the rest of my
Thank you
sleep.
so much.
But thank you so much, and we will see you guys again soon.
I would love that. Looking forward to the next episode.
Great. Take care.
Bye bye, both of you, and take care.
Bye bye.
Yes, you too.